move into the AFC North, this looks to me like a two-team race, and it's the two teams that you probably already think of, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens, I mean, on paper, they look like they're gotten even better. Lamar Jackson back for his third year. Marquise Brown hopefully can stay healthy. They added J.K. Dobbins to go along with Mark Ingram. And the defense continues to be the Baltimore Ravens defense, even without Earl Thomas. I think from everything that it comes out of with him being cut, that the Ravens players were actually excited for. Deshaun Elliott, a guy that they had drafted a few years back on day 2, is projected to step in. So the Ravens defense is always going to be good. I mean, it may not be elite shutdown, but they're always going to be one of the better defenses in the NFL. And the Ravens are going to be a playoff team. They're my pick to win this division. I think they're going to win this division. But the fact between them making the Super Bowl or not falls on Lamar Jackson developing as a quarterback. And he was tremendous in the regular season with his running ability, his playmaking ability, his ability, even as a thrower. But for 2 straight postseasons, his ability to make plays with his arm has really come back to hurt them. They got destroyed. No, not destroyed, but they got beat handedly by the Titans last year when they were kind of the team that everyone thought was going to push for the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Jackson's rookie year, they ran into the Chargers. So they need Lamar to take that next step. Lamar is tremendous. He's fun to watch. But if he wants to be a Super Bowl quarterback, he has to improve as a passer. And he's got the tools to do it. He's got the traits to do it. He's just got to be able to come up and step up in those situations. He's got to make those plays. And he's got to do it with his arm, because when you get in playoffs, deep into the playoffs, you're playing the elite teams. And they can try to make you one-dimensional and make you have to beat them with your weakness. And in this case, Jackson making accurate throws in the playoffs is that weakness. So, he's fun to watch. But if you want to go from being fun to watch to being one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL and a championship level quarterback, you gotta get those areas fixed. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they're a playoff team, but it all depends on Big Ben's health. It's always dependent on his health because they don't have a capable backup. We saw that last year when Roethlisberger got hurt at the in week 1. Mason Rudolph, a guy they took in the 3rd round, showed that he wasn't ready. And even over time, it's not like you're like, he's just not playing well, but we see it. We don't see it. Duck Hodges, was a nice story, but, he's not a starting caliber quarterback. So they need Ben Roethlisberger to be healthy, because with Ben out, they were a 500 team, just under 500, just missed out on the playoffs. But no one really took them as a true contender, because you have to have that quarterback. And so, they've got the running game with James Conner. They've got, receivers, the Juju Smith-Schuster. They drafted Chase Claypool. They've got Deontay Johnson. They've got weapons. But once again, you need Roethlisberger to stay healthy. And after coming off the elbow injury and up there in age, can he stay healthy? He's always banged up. He's always been hurt. He's always missed times in games. He's always missed a game or two. They need him to be healthy primarily to get them into the playoffs and to make that run. Now, Cleveland has been a team lately that everyone's just been kind of waiting to break out. The roster itself is not bad. You got Odell Beckham Jr., you've got Jarvis Landry, you've got Austin Hooper now, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. They've got weapons galore. They've got an offensive line that's, got a lot of talent. They just drafted a left tackle in the top 10. The defense has talent. You got Myles Garrett. You got Olivier Vernon. You got Sheldon Richardson. You've got Joe Hayden. So the talent is there. But their success falls on 2 things. It falls on mainly Baker Mayfield. Everyone loved Baker Mayfield when he was coming out, drafted number 1. And after he had a little bit of success during his rookie year, everyone was ready to be on board. He's the next Brett Favre. He's going to be this guy. And then he was terrible last year. Now, The Browns have to hope that that's on Freddie Kitchens. The horrible decision to hire Freddie Kitchens as their head coach really backfired last year, and we saw Baker Mayfield's development really halted. So now that they got Kevin Stefanski in there, they're hoping that him and the rest of that coaching staff can get Baker back to where he needs to be. And I think the thing I like about this move is Kevin Stefanski's coming in, and his offense isn't predicated on the quarterback having to carry the load and be that type of guy. We saw what he did in Minnesota, where they had Kirk Cousins, which, we Browns fans hope that Baker Mayfield plays up to a Kirk Cousins level, at least this year, because they want to run the ball, and they're going to run that zone scheme, and look what he did with Dalvin Cook, and even mixing in Alexander Madison and a few of their other guys. And they've got Nick Chubb, one of the better running backs in the NFL that nobody talks about. Kareem Hunt, we saw what he did in Kansas City. They've got a strong offensive line, and so they're going to go run heavy, play action. Kevin Stefanski's offense in Minnesota the passing game was so predicated on play action. So the fact that the Browns have a strong offensive line, two really good running backs, that's going to really help out Baker Mayfield, because he doesn't have to sit there and drop back 50 times a game. He can drop back in advantageous situations and look for Odell Beckham Jr. So I think the Browns are going to be better this year. They picked, 10th last year, 9th last year. But we said that the year before. I picked them as a playoff team going into last year just because of everything that was going on and how talented their roster is. So can they actually come and follow up and fulfill some of their potential? And who knows? Maybe they'll pick 15. Maybe they'll just miss out on the playoffs. Who knows? They've got a playoff level team. You trust Baker Mayfield to make that jump. Do you trust Kevin Stefanski being that head coach and managing? They've got a lot of personalities on that roster, and can he manage that? I mean, you can say what he wants. He had that success as offensive coordinator, but you're the head coach now. You got to manage those. So that will be definitely interesting to kind of keep an eye on. I have Cincinnati finishing 4th in this division. I kind of like what they did this offseason. You took Joe Burrow, number 1. He was, he had to be the number 1 overall pick. The season he had, the traits that he had, the health and size that he had over Tua and the other guys. And you draft T. Higgins, and you add these pieces, and the talent level for the Bengals offense is definitely increasing, but they still have so many holes. And it'd be curious to see how Burrow's the starter day one. And so how can he do coming in day one to be their starter, to lead this team? He's got 2 years of experience in college, which is sometimes more than some other quarterbacks. But do they have the defense to allow Burrow to play with a lead or to stay in games? Do they have the offensive line to protect him? That's a big thing. They got Jonah Williams coming back, who's going to be their left tackle. But what about the rest of the offensive line? They've got definitely some holes in there. Is A.J. Green going to be healthy? If A.J. Green's healthy, to go along with T. Higgins, to go along with Tyler Boyd, he's got some weapons. So it all matters to protecting him, and it all matters to the guys around him kind of helping him up, and him being able to make those plays.